Hello and greetings of peace. The topic of our discussion today is simple steps to becoming a toxic leader, the dark face of leadership and success. But before we go into our topic, I want to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Aya Akari. I'm just a young lady, an adventurer, a wayfarer, crossing continents and cultures only to discover the truth that unites us all, our interconnection with each other and the universe. My story is one of intense transitions. I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and spent the first half of my childhood in Tripoli, North Africa, and the second half in Dublin, Ireland. And you don't have to be a cross-cultural specialist to imagine that's like living between worlds. I'm a certified leadership coach, credentialed by the International Coaching Federation. I'm an organizational leadership specialist and emotional resilience coach and mentor. My goal is to transform the conception of leadership into one of inner peace, wisdom, and creation-based thinking. I empower executives, business owners, and professionals to go from existing to living. I help leaders lead from their souls to conscious awareness via coaching and mentoring. I also inspire positive change through the use of powerful questions. So how does one become a toxic leader? Is there a dark side to success and leadership? Limiting our understanding of success only to meaningful success ignores the shadow side of success. Many toxic leaders adopt destructive behaviors to achieve unrivaled success. Needless to say, being a toxic leader is not an easy feat. It's actually quite challenging. It takes tremendous effort and determination to rise. To power and influence. So are toxic leaders born toxic, or is it a learnable skill? How do they maintain this facade of invincibility and control? Kellerman discusses bad leaders as being either unethical or incompetent, or both. Which is worse is open to discussion. So here are the simple steps to becoming a toxic leader. Number 1. Ditch integrity and indulge greed. Toxic leaders tend to be inconsistent, lie, cheat, and gaslight to limit your followers' access to the truth. For example, you can lie about a project's deadline just to prove to your followers that their memory and judgment are questionable. Crush dissent and demand compliance. Avoid anarchy and chaos at any cost. Downplay the well-being of your team and followers. For example, you can force them to go for a meeting during lunch to increase the productivity. And get very angry if someone tries to tell you otherwise. Heal arrogance. Toxic leaders are always right, and they are very skilled at evading accountability. Play to your followers' basest fears. Next comes show them who's boss. So toxic leaders use hierarchy. They emphasize hierarchy because that's what gives them control over their followers. They control their followers through feeding them illusions and fostering dependence. Masquerade your enormous ego as having the team's best interests at heart. Beguile them with an intoxicating elixir of malice and charisma. Toxic leaders can be very charismatic, actually. Next, preferential treatment. Discriminate against your team and followers based on gender, age, religious, and ethnic backgrounds. And you know what? Leadership and followership go hand in hand. Toxic leaders need those obedient followers that facilitate the cruelty and corruption, demean, bully, and break your team's spirit. Cowardice. Bad leaders will go to any extreme. They may commit illegal, immoral, or criminal acts to achieve their goals. The ladder to fame and fortune, climbing the ladder to fame and fortune morally might seem too slow for toxic leaders, and everybody loves a good deal. The path to excellence is full of sweat and tears, so why not take a shortcut, right? Also, number 7, they are incompetent. They're incompetent, it's either because they lack the expertise, the willpower, or the emotional resilience to deal with stressful situations. Some of them also lack the key leadership competencies that allow them to support their team. So that's 7. Number 8 is selfish. They're driven by self-interest. They might even pit the team members against each other to achieve their goals. There are other actually classifications for bad leaders. There's a classification by Kellerman. She describes 7, but out of all 7, I think we covered most of them. 3 of them. So there's the other 4 which are intemperate. So toxic leaders can be, they lack self-control, so they can fly off the handle for the smallest provocation. They tend to be corrupt. I guess we covered that. Insular, which means that they have boundaries where they treat their immediate group differently from outsiders. So maybe outsiders could be regarded as being subhuman, or that it's okay to mistreat them. And finally, evil. And evil is using power to inflict physical and emotional damage on your team or others. And some evil leaders commit atrocities. I'm sure at this point you realize that I'm using humor to make a point. There are countless trainings and seminars and coaching programs that rave about success mindset. Yet none of them explore the shadow side of success. That kind of malicious mindset that promotes success at all cost. Toxic leaders are driven by an insatiable desire for success. It takes a specific type of mindset to orchestrate toxic leadership. And I think in order to understand something at a deeper level, one must understand what that something isn't. So to understand what success is, we need to understand what success isn't. And that's why I'm talking about toxic leadership, the dark side of success, or the shadow side of success. There's an article in the Washington Post that talks about the Great Resignation, and how the Great Resignation pandemic was precipitated by workers exiting their jobs to avoid bullying and toxic leaders. There's also a research article in the Harvard Business Review that looks at the factors that nudge an otherwise normal worker into becoming a toxic worker. One of them is the position they hold, and the other one is exposure to other toxic workers. Interestingly, the study confirms or concluded that toxic workers are more productive than average workers. However, their destructive behavior can have detrimental consequences for the individual and the organization. So I guess it's a trade-off, a potential trade-off between ethics and performance. And so here, when it comes to ethical decision making of which one do you want to go for? What's more important? I guess it's a balance that leaders need to develop and maintain. Have you ever experienced toxic leaders? Do you know how to spot toxic behavior? I'd love to hear your takeaways and feedback. Again, this is Dr. Aya Carey, emotional well-being and leadership coach and mentor. You can reach out and connect with me at my website, www.drayacarey.com. Come with me. Let's lead together. Bye. Have a wonderful day.